Fortuna City Council. If you'll silence your electrical devices, phones, tablets, noisemakers, pagers, and we'll call this meeting to order. And please join me in the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Can we get a roll call?
Councilmember Conley?
Present.
Councilmember Diaz?
Here.
Councilmember Stevens?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Trent? Here. Mayor Johnson?
Here. Thank you. And our first item of business tonight is the introduction of our new Public Works Director, Brian Issa. There he is.
Hey, Ron.
And I'll just give you a brief, some background on Mr. Issa. Brian, he has a bachelor's degree from Utah State in biology and chemistry and a master's degree in community and regional planning. And he most recently was the Deputy Public Works Director for the city of Eureka for a significant number of years. And then he's also been the Community Development Director for the city of Veneta in Oregon. And so we are super happy and pleased that Brian is with us. And he might want to come and just say hi to the council if he's comfortable.
We're not going to let you get by that easy.
Good evening. I guess that's kind of the nutshell introduction right there. I'm happy to be with the city of Fortuna. I've been with the city of Eureka for quite a while now. Got my fingers into a lot of public works, planning, and every other aspect of municipal development and kind of municipal government over the years. Public works is really kind of where my passion is. That's what makes civilization possible. So I'm happy to be here and be part of the team.
Well, thank you very much for coming aboard, and we wish you many success.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, next we come to public comment. We have items that are not on the agenda you can come make public comment on. We ask you to please give us your name. You have 3 minutes to comment on anything that is not on the agenda.
Hi, my name's Brad Chamberlain. I'm here to complain about what the Planning Commission approved at their last meeting. They approved a subdivision, or a minor subdivision out on Ronaville Road, and I went there and complained about the water that comes onto my property, and they went ahead and approved it. I have some pictures I'd like you to look at in my field, but this needs to be taken care of before this keeps getting continually worse. The city has increased the width of the road, put more DIs into that pipe it's been a long period of time. And it just keeps getting worse. And now I'm being told they don't have an easement. Well, they don't have an easement on my property either. So this water needs to be taken care of. And I just want the city council to know of the problem in case it has to go further. I don't know what to do right now, but the problem has to be taken care of. So I don't know,
You can leave those with the clerk, Sienna, and we'll make sure that we have an opportunity.
Okay, I don't know what else to do. I'm not into the politics stuff and the city council stuff or anything. I just am getting inundated with water through the winter, and it needs to be taken care of, so, okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other folks want to make a comment on an item not on the agenda? Well, seeing none, we'll close public comment. And our next item of business is the consent calendar. It has 16 items. City council minutes from the June 2nd special and regular meeting, and then all of our usual monthly reports, administrative, community development, finance, parks and rec, police, public works, reported disbursements, approval of the full-time classification and pay schedule, approval of the part-time pay schedule, approve an amendment to a resolution establishing and authorizing supplemental compensation and benefits for unrepresented confidential employees, approve a solid waste collection franchise rate adjustment, authorize city manager to award the Carson Woods Road Waterline Project Phase 1, authorize the city manager to award or approval of a supplemental budget request for the 2024 storm drain lining project, and approve a response to the California Department of Housing and Community Development's letter of inquiry for housing. Is there anybody want to pull anything?
J and K, please.
So we'll pull J and K. Okay, go ahead.
I'm going to abstain from both J and K as I have family members in both brackets.
Okay. Any public comment on the consent calendar? Well, can we entertain a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent calendar minus J and K.
I second that.
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent calendar minus J and K. All in favor?
Aye.
I'll make a motion to approve items J and K.
I second.
So motion to approve items J and K. All in favor?
Abstain.
Abstain. Okay. We have approved those 16 items. We come now to city council business to adopt the city of Fortuna's annual operating budget for fiscal year 25-26, including resolution 2025-18.
Yes, good evening, Honorable Mayor and City Council. So the City Council held 2 special budget workshops to discuss the proposed fiscal year 25-26 operating budget. The first one was held on May 1st, where staff presented the proposed budget and reviewed general fund revenue and expenditures in depth with the City Council. The second workshop, held on May 5th, focused on answering any outstanding questions from the first workshop, as well as reviewing the city's enterprise funds. So since we've reviewed those in depth at special workshops, I'm not going to go into depth, but I'm just going to briefly summarize. The general fund has an operating surplus of $679 and one-time expenses of $381,400 being paid for from reserves that have been built up over previous years. Revenues in the general fund and Measure E fund are heavily dependent on sales tax, making up approximately $4 million or 50% of those funds. And the budget did include flat sales tax revenue estimates for fiscal year 25-26, which required a bare bones expense budget in order to have that balanced budget. And so for those that are interested, additional information and detail on the city's fiscal year 25-26 budget can be found on the attached document. Staff are available for any questions, but otherwise staff's recommendation is to open a public hearing and adopt the fiscal year 25-26 operating budget. Thank you.
Any questions from staff? Well, we will open up the public hearing on the budget for fiscal year 25-26. If anyone would like to make comment on that. I see none.
Make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The public hearing is closed. Entertain a motion on the business item.
Motion to adopt resolution 2025-18, read by title only.
Second.
Okay, a motion and a second. That's a
Resolu-
roll call vote.
Resolution 2025-18, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Fortuna adopting the City of Fortuna's annual operating budget for fiscal year 2025-26. Councilmember Conley?
Aye.
Councilmember Diaz?
Aye.
Councilmember Stevens?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Trent?
Yes.
Mayor Johnson?
Yes. Thank you. And we come now to introduction and first reading of ordinance 2025-775, adopting fire hazard severity zone map from the Office of the State Fire Marshal.
Good evening, Mayor Johnson and honorable council members. I'm Sherry Meads, Community Development Director. And before you tonight is an item that is required by the state. We are adopting the state fire marshal fire hazard severity zones and the map that go along with that. That's basically what we're doing. We're also finding it exempt from CEQA. So the California Department of Forestry and Fire Protection, which are known as CAL FIRE, released updated maps in February. They came out in phases. We were phase 2, so it came out in February. And what those did was updated zones that they've always had. They've always had fire hazard severity zones. They've always had maps, but these were updated to really include the latest technologies, the latest fire science, and pretty much everything that they have looked at in terms of previous wildfires, et cetera. So it reflects risk modeling and includes LRAs, which are local resource agencies, which we are, and so therefore we have to adopt them by ordinance and submit that ordinance to the state. And they're moderate, high, and very high severity zones. So what they do is they determine where defensible space requirements and wildland-urban interface requirements have to be implemented. Those would be for very high and high severity zones. Moderate zones at this point don't have any specific requirements that go along with them. What these zones are used for, they're not supposed to influence insurance, they're supposed to influence planning and preparation. They factor in real estate disclosures and, like I said, can affect our planning. When we update our hazard mitigation plan, we will likely incorporate these new maps. So the city can increase a fire hazard severity zone, but we cannot decrease what CAL FIRE and the State Fire Marshal have declared. And so as you can see, there are a lot of new areas considered moderate fire risk. Prior to this update, there was no designated fire severity zones in the city of Fortuna. And so if you go on to the CAL FIRE website, you can look at these maps, you can download the information of the parcels included. It ends up being 1,935 parcels within our city limits. So one of the requirements when these maps were released is that we put them on our website or publish them somehow and ask for public comments. These were promoted on the front page of the city's homepage of the city's website, requesting public comment and input. We did not receive any. The Fortuna Fire Protection District adopted an ordinance on April 14th. That's included in your packet that adopted these fire hazard severity zones. So this project is exempt under the general rule in CEQA because it only applies to projects that have the potential to cause a significant effect on the environment, and this project doesn't look at any specific project. Those go into their own CEQA review as they are submitted. So recommended action tonight is on your screen, and we're at the first part where I'm here to answer any questions that you may have.
Okay, thank you. And any questions from council?
Just out of curiosity, if the Fortuna Fire Department had issue with some areas of the map, was there or is there any sort of appeal process or, reconciliation with the state, or is it just kind of we have to take what they give us?
We pretty much have to take what they give us, and our fire protection district was in agreement.
And I believe you said that there is a bill moving through the legislature.
There is a bill moving through the legislature that does potentially provide some level of negotiation with the state fire marshal, but that hasn't been approved yet.
Any public comment on this item? I see none. Okay. Well, is there a motion?
Motion to introduce and conduct the first reading of ordinance 2025-775, read by title only, and continue with the public hearing on July 7th, 2025, possibly the 21st.
I second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, and it's a roll call vote.
Ordinance 2025-775, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Fortuna to adopt the fire hazard severity zone map from the Office of the State Fire Marshal and find the ordinance to be exempt from CEQA. Councilmember Conley?
Aye.
Councilmember Diaz?
Yes.
Councilmember Stevens?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Trent?
Yes.
Mayor Johnson?
Yes. Well, that brings us through this to our city manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor Johnson. Last week, I had the opportunity to meet with Cosmont, our consultant that helped us with the Enhanced Infrastructure Finance District and county staff. I will say those initial conversations about the county participating in an EFID and sharing their property tax increment was pretty positive. And so we will be working in the next couple of months to meet with the county supervisors on a more individualized basis to discuss the potential creation of an EFID between the county and the city of Fortuna. So that was a positive outcome at this point. It's still early in the stages. We also interviewed for a senior administrative assistant, deputy city clerk. I had a conversation with the McLean Foundation about supporting the Newburgh Park expansion. And this is very dependent on McLean's participation or investment in a potential pool. And also, I was at an RCRPD meeting, and they are going to be taking soil samples at the potential pool site at the end of this month. And so we will have a better understanding if McLean will be participating in a pool or not. And if not, then there is some opportunity for the city in the Newburgh Park expansion. I was also a speaker at the Leadership Redwood Coast seminar that occurred at the River Lodge the other week, and I gave a mini state of the city at that leadership seminar. And then also we continue to work on franchise negotiations because, as I mentioned in the last city council meeting, we have some significant changes coming with the implementation of SB 1383 and organics recycling. And that concludes the city manager's report.
Any questions for city manager?
No.
Okay. Well, thank you. And any future agenda items? Not a lot of talk. Okay. Well, we'll come to city council reports with Councilmember Conley.
Thank you. Our Parks and Rec Commission meeting got canceled due to a lack of quorum. Other than that, all I got is really just, I know that we're ramping up for the summer events here. I know that July 3rd festival will be happening, rodeo, auto expo, Hops and Humboldt, all the big events that are happening during the summer. I want to preemptively thank all the staff for everything they do for that. It could not go down without you, all the road closures and trash and pickup and cleanup and all that stuff. It just makes the event run smoothly. So we know that you're there, and we thank you for what you do. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Diaz.
I have a meeting, well, there's a meeting for RCEA on the 26th, which I will not be able to attend due to a medical appointment, but thank you for stepping in for me.
You got it.
And then just housekeeping, I am the alternate for the Redwood Regional Economic Development, not the main participant. So that's all I have to report.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Stevens.
Nothing to report this cycle.
Mayor Pro Tem Trent.
I have nothing to report.
Well, I did have a couple of things. I did a mini State of the City presentation at Kiwanis, going over some of the items that City Manager Amy Nielsen had put together. In fact, I used her slide. I didn't use her slide deck, but I used them as notes. And it was received positively, and they appreciated the information. This past Friday, we had the Transportation, Communication, and Public Works Policy Committee meeting, and I was part of that, and we discussed a lot of different bills and procedures, and somebody from the State Controller's Office was there talking about how since SB 1 was implemented in 2017, they've done audits every year of the individual agencies that have received funding and participated in SB 1 and the requirements that they have for putting the list together and the maintenance of effort and all the different things and reporting out on how the money was spent. And they've had 100% compliance since 2017. So that's pretty good. And one of the person who's going to be the president of the policy committee next year asked the controller's office person if Caltrans gets the same amount of scrutiny with the funding that they get and the projects that they do. And the only projects that are actually looked at and audited are the shop projects, which is jobs that they do on the state highway that is initiated and brought forward by Caltrans. And they did say that the individual agencies are held to a great high standard and they have a great track record of compliance. So that was a good thing. And we did have a HCOG meeting tonight, which I obviously didn't make because it got moved to Monday night because Thursday is a holiday and it wasn't going to be held. And this was the night that was free for everybody else to make it. So I did not make it to that, but it's being held anyways, and which is a good thing because there's work that needs to be done. So outside of that, I have nothing else to report, so we could have a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Motion to adjourn in a second. All in favor? Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you all for joining us, and don't be shy. You can make public comment.